Okay, give me just a moment. Had to switch counts and pop out the chat so I can see it. And Gadoosh. Yeah. And this is making me look very, very blue. I'm blue. Got a lot of that. Ralph. Anyway, if you're watching this after the fact, which most people probably are, don't forget that the whole like, subscribe, bell icon, usual nonsense. And today I'm going to be sculpting yet another figure for my Saturday game. This one is what can only be described as a unique woodlands tiefling named Nowhere. Yes, Nowhere. And take a typical tiefling, give her antlers instead of horns, a squirrel tail, and digitigrade legs with hooves. No, you can't chase her. And we put this little fur ball down. You're going down on the floor. You got me? Come on, little buddy. Down you go. Go on, shoot. Okay. Now, one thing about Nowhere is that she has antlers instead of horns, which does make it quite different from the usual. Um, so what I'm going to do is make her a little bit of help just because she's got a slightly more slender build. I'm going to have to make her antlers separate because they're not the usual horns. And I'm also going to have to go ahead and rescale her to make sure that we get her exactly the right height that we had. That, if I remember correctly, she's 5'7", compared to the rest of the group, which appears to be, with the exception of the halfling, well over 6 feet tall. And in order to do this right, we're going to have to measure her height. And let's see, do we have anyone in the? No, we got one other person watching. I don't know if it's Nowhere's player or not, but you know, hey, we're gonna go ahead and switch that studio. And here we have the base female figure. And as you can see, right now she's sitting at 6'6", which is a bit large. So we're gonna use scale to drop her down to about 5'7". Just a little over halfway up. And we also need to change her hand scales because the hands were a bit large on the default that I made. And so we're going to drop the scale down just a bit. Oh, all. Scale there. Okay. And we're going to delete that. And hello, TJ. One of the things about this figure is that she has digitigrade legs. So in order to make sure I get digitigrade hoofed legs right, is Cyclopedia Anatomicae. And let's see. We're going to base them off of deer. It's going to be page 445. And we want that rear leg. This doesn't have a lot of detail on it. We're going to have to use this as an anatomy reference. Alright, I set that right there. Now, to simulate a triple jointed leg, we look at this and we see that the thighs are actually pretty short. So we're going to Y-scale them quite a bit. We're also going to bend them forward a bit. The shins, we're going to bend backwards. And the shins and the foot and the pastern make up about half the height of the legs. I'm gonna Y-scale them a little bit that way. And then we're gonna select the feet. And we're gonna Z-scale them like that. Obviously, that's not going to be enough. I'm gonna select the toes and bend them forward just to make sure we get. We're gonna Y-scale them. Because that will be what we turn into the hooves. Let's lengthen that a little bit. And just for the sake of making it more humanoid, let's lengthen that just a tad bit. And about there. One thing we got to note is that the pastern on a deer's leg, the bone that would be the heel bone on the human, actually kind of sticks out a little bit, but it's not a prominent. The skin, it doesn't make a large extrusion. It forms a point at which one of the tendons attaches. So when we get to sculpting her, that will be kind of pretty much chopped. But for right now, that is the proportions for nowhere. Now we're going to export this. And we're going to put this pre-sculpt minis, broadcast miniatures, new folder, nowhere. And we're going to call this ZZ Base. Because we're going to make her horns from this. And we're going to do it in 3D Studio Max. Import. Meshes, pre-sculpt, broadcast, new, nowhere. ZZ Base. Import. Ba-ding! Now, we're only going to make one antler, and then we're just going to mirror it across. That's just the easiest way to do it. Now, the way we're going to start it is we're going to make no. There we go, a line. And I have a picture here that she suggested as how she wanted them to look. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come out from here. Now, that looks kind of abstract. But what we're going to do is we then make it renderable in viewport. Okay. And we're going to decrease the number of sides to 8. We're also going to reduce that thickness to about no, we want it to be about there, simply so that it will print well. No, we could do it a little bit thicker. We have to do a little bit thicker so it'll print well. Alright, auto smooth threshold 75. There we go. And then go up here and convert to editable poly. I know this looks unusual, but that's because we gotta now, one by one, shrink these. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. So no. We got to make it small enough to print. We're going to do this. All right, we have to make it large enough to print. So it's going to be a little bit thicker than what you might normally think of. Now we're going to start selecting edges, or yeah. And we're going to make them a little bit wider so that we can then extrude these out. These are going to be the other prongs. We're going to extrude out just a very small amount. Twice. Okay. Then select these. Rotate like that. And then here, whoop, gotta turn this off. And rotate it again. And then shrink it a lot. Okay, then I'm gonna select here and shrink that a little. Now, we're gonna go ahead and take care of the size of the points now. Now, this next piece comes up quite a bit and then rotates. And for the sake of the shape of the antler, there. Actually, that needs to be just the one below needs to be a little bit longer. Just a little bit. Okay. And this one, we're going to rotate it. And then move it. And this is going to be a bit shorter than the others because it's the smallest secondary prong. I'm going to take this and move it here. Okay, I'm going to rotate it like this just so we can see the general shape is there, but now we need to go ahead, first of all, smooth one. If we mesh smoothed it right now, I think we need to increase the size of that one and this one. Okay, yeah, there we go. Once again, it's so thick because it kind of has to be. Now, the thing is, antlers, if it has a picture, it does not have a picture of the ant. Antlers kind of arc forward. So in order for this to happen, first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and move its center point there. I'm now going to bend it. And I'm going to find the right angle to bend it for what I'm looking for. Okay. There we go. I just need to bend it forward, collapse all, and then rotate it back. And then we're going to bend it forward at another angle. And then rotate it back like that. Then I'm going to move it to where it's closer to the temple area. And actually going into the head a bit. Collapse all. Actually, I think we can go ahead and rotate it down this way a little as well. And go up a little bit higher on the forehead, on the head. Then we're going to reset transform, collapse all, and then change the pivot point to an X of 0. And then mirror. Copy. Actually, no. Delete that. Because I need to do one other thing first. Let's select here. I. And we're going to pull it out some. So it's clearly there. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to mirror it. Reset selected. Normal. Collapse all. Grab this. Attach this. And mesh with 1, 2. There we go. I can actually move them forward a little bit now. There. All right. Antlers. Whee! If you're watching this, Alex, can you message me on Facebook Messenger about whether or not you like these antlers and what you need me to change about them? And hello, Mark. Anyway, I'm currently waiting on word to see if Alex wants me to get rid of one piece or not, change something or not. Also, I need to go ahead, go in here, and add one edge loop just to minimize the reduction there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make this last one here just a little bit larger, a little bit longer really, to kind of emphasize its position. Glimpse all. Reset selected. Normal. Now the reason why I do this, if you've never seen me do this before, when you mirror something in 3D, it's not rebuilding it, but in a mirror image, it's literally just making it a negative scale. So that means the inside is now outside, which means it's all pointing in instead of out. So we got to do that in order to do this. All right, so we attach. Okay, Alex, if I remember correctly, you have a staff. What do you want on that staff? And we're going to go ahead, excuse me, file, import from base geometry files. No, not base geometry. Broadcast miniatures, new, nowhere, antlers. Yep. And then we're going to parent them to the head. Wait, no, we're not, because the head's not up. There we go. Parent them to the head. There. All right. Now, as for the tail, it's not going to look right at first. Yes, you can get away with asking me to come up with something. Now, as for the tail, what we're going to do, instead of the usual tail that I stick on, we're going to use this, because it's a squirrel tail. First, we're going to scale it a lot smaller, and then a lot shorter, because the squirrel tail isn't that big. Then, go to the right-hand view. Okay. What? There we go. What is a certain little gnomeling's name again? Mm-hmm. How about a rose with daisies down the side? Okay, let me go ahead and... Alright, now we're going to go ahead. We're going to be shaping this to be vaguely somewhat squirrely. So, for example, the base is going to be a lot narrower. For those who don't know and are wondering why I said something about a daisy, this particular character has adopted a total sweetheart gnomeling little girl and is doing her best to raise her as a traveling adventure, as best as a traveling adventurer can. So everyone seems to adore Daisy, so I'm gonna pay tribute to her in the design of the staff. If you're wondering what I'm working on, I'm doing my best to make the tail more squirrely. Okay, now we need to make it a little bit thicker. So we're going to go from here to here. And that will be Z scale. That's Z scale is 200. This is going to be 150. And this is going to be 125. And here we have the basic shape for our squirrely tail. It is going to be decent. Alright, now, for the staff, it's going to be almost entirely sculpted in ZBrush, except I'm going to now do something else. File, New. No, I don't want to save changes. I am going to make a daisy. Alright, we're going to make this cap segments 2, height segments 1, sides 10. Editable poly. Then we're going to select these, erase that, and pull out the front end. We're going to make it a little bit thicker than what you would expect. We're going to shrink down to the big one and then to there. Now, we're going to select all of these sides. We're going to hit extrude. We're going to change it to by polygon. Okay, and now we're going to make this a bit bigger like this. We're basically making a basic daisy. We're also going to bring it forward just a little bit. And then we're going to extrude again, but not as far. And bringing this forward a little bit as well. And then shrink it down like that. Next, I'm going to select these edges and connect, sliding it as far back towards the base of the petals as we can. This is a guarding edge loop. What this does is helps make sure that the area near the base, near that rim, stays kind of a sharp curve. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Now when we hit mesh smooth, okay, no, we need to. I forgot one more thing. We're going to hit all of these. We're going to connect. No. No. chamfer, because we need to make this. This is not an actual natural. Okay. Mesh smooth. This will be our daisies. Collapse all. Z. File. Export selected. ZZ daisy. That will come into play later. Okay, now the next thing is, what pose do you want her in? Also, is her staff in her left or her right arm? Or left or right hand? Hello, Ben. She's typing, by the way, so. What we really need to know right now is the pose, left or right hand, and her clothes. What is she wearing? And hello, board. Hello, we're making a very unusual tiefling. Staff is in her right hand, so we go over here. And that staff loads right in there. Now we got to go to the back view because that staff is not centered in the female hand because of proportions differences and because I shrank the hand. Move it to there. Yeah. We're going to shape that bulb into a rose, and then we're going to have the daisies kind of down the top portion. We're also going to hide the staff for right now because we don't need to pose her with the staff in hand. And while she's typing, because this is probably going to take a while, because Alex is a very imaginative person. Oh, wait, here. Thigh-length shorts and a short top made of fur. Is she wearing bracers? Is she wearing anything on her lower legs, her pastern? And are the shorts kind of like baggy at the bottom? Are they tight? Are they, canvas? By the way, like I was going to say, real quick, since she's typing, I got him fully painted. It looks like crap on this camera. I can't change the white balance. His shirt is purple. That tells you about the white balance. Yeah. Back to here I go. On the legs, they'd be greaves. Now finally, do you have an idea for the pose? The clothing actually comes into it when I start sculpting. While I'm thinking about it, I need to parent this to her hip. This is a double scale figure. What I've been doing for the characters for this game is I'll print one regular scale for use on the battle map and one double scale that the players will have next to their characters, or in case somebody ever gets enlarged or what have you. That was the double scale version of my Warforged monk. And yes, he is on Thingiverse. I really need to reprint my fellow players' Turtle Monk at double scale, because she's the most common target for enlarge on the Wednesday game. Imagine a 500-pound turtle, that's size medium, double the size large, which is times 8. 2-ton terrapin of terror. That knows Kung Fu. As impressive as it sounds, it doesn't really add that much combat capability, not like it used to. It used to increase your damage dice by one size category. Now it just adds 1d4. And right now we're getting the pose. Actually, I think I kind of need to bend this one a little bit less, simply because it doesn't need to be right up against the back. That would cause problems when painting and sculpting. Standing forward with her left hand outstretched and her right hand. So kind of like that. Or is her staff like out to the side with poking down into the ground? Okay, the way we do this, we start with a hip. Alright, let's see. Okay, so the right, it goes, tilts to the right, and tilts down. Okay. Okay, can't go too far to the side because I may not be able to print you. In terms of the space on the space on the thingy. Okay. Now. Oh, it's okay. Now, we go to the front view for this, because that way we can make sure that everything's in the right spot. Control D to drop to the ground. Perspective view. Make sure that those feet are planted. Yeah. Now, the chest and abdomen, we're going to side to side them the other way and twist them slightly. The chest is going to rotate a little bit more simply because we don't want the line of the shoulders parallel to the ground. And then bring it forward a little. Bring it forward. Bend it slightly. Twist it back. Okay, is your hand like upright like you're casting a spell? Make the staff visible so we can get this oriented right. Oh, okay. Palm up. So how's that? Alright, what we're going to do then, we're going to hide the antlers, staff, and the drapery, the tail. File, export, nowhere, body, accept, hide her, make the antlers visible, file, export, nowhere, antlers, accept, hide the antlers and make the staff visible. Actually, let me do one thing real quick. Front view. Perfect. Okay, never mind. File, export. Well, what do you know? The first time I pose the arm, and it's exactly in the right spot to be touching the ground. Nowhere staff. That was like outstanding. And then file, export, nowhere, tail. I'm going to assume you've got a small hole out the back of your shorts that your tail is poking through. Meanwhile, we're in ZBrush. Oh, wait, I forgot something. And hide the tail. Bases. It's no longer just a simple disc. Now I've got these fancy bases like the wooden planks that she's standing on. Let me go ahead and show you the pictures of the various bases. The newer ones are right here. And what we have, obviously there's a couple on here that are like this one that are like sci-fi gradings. We've got magic or ancient tile, cracked earth, gravel. You don't want organic. Uh, Lava field, mixed terrain, and then we have cobblestone and fancy tile, rocky, wooden planks, and grass. I'm going to assume grass. Would that be accurate to guess? Okay. Base grassy. And now I need to go ahead and bring this down to about there. Perspective view. Okay. And we hide her and file, export, into view base. Accept. And then, okay, we're going to import meshes, scope minis, broadcast miniatures, new, nowhere body. Actually, no. I'm going to import Daisy first. And we're going to draw it in the middle of the screen. Then we're going to edit. We're going to the insert gemstone bit. And we're going to create insert mesh brush, append. Okay. Now we're going back to the standard brush and we're clicking this button right here. We're going to import the body. Oh, no. I got to restart it because I screwed up the scaling. I'll be just a moment here. ZBrush is kind of finicky about its scaling, and by doing what I just did, it would completely mess up all of the scaling in the file size. So I have to restart ZBrush, which shouldn't take too long. The trickiest bit is I gotta resize the window because of the way ZBrush handles its starting window. It hides the taskbar, which I don't like. It's one of the few things I really dislike about the UI. Okay, back. Now, okay, I know what I gotta do. Meshes, scope minis, broadcast minis, new, nowhere body. Gotta draw it into the scene first. Okay, now I import the Daisy. Frame out, go to the insert gemstone. Wait, let me do one thing. Depth of 0. And now, create insert mesh, append. Okay. And then go back to standard. Here, close this, and where did it go? Import. Because the first thing I imported and drew was the body, it shouldn't have affected the scale any. Okay. Now, subtool. Insert insert polymesh, import. Next thing would be the antlers. Insert polymesh, import tail. Insert polymesh, import staff. Insert polymesh, import base. This is nowhere on her base. Now, time to get sculpting. So we're going to hide everything. Well, before we do that, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to go down to deformation, and I'm going to relax this 100 times. And then I'm going to go round it off a bit. And geometry, we got to round the whole thing off. No, that didn't work. Geometry, Dynamesh 128. Okay. And smooth it. Then deformation and inflate back. Looks a lot more like a squirrel tail now, doesn't it? Okay, now I'm going to hide everything except for the body. And we've got a few things to clean up before we actually start. A couple things to clean up before we start doing everything else. First of all, let's bring this draw size back down to, let's say, 30. And let's bring this intensity on the smooth down to about there. One of the things we got to do is we got to give the chest a more natural shape. When I made this base mesh, it was not natural. I was kind of rushed when I made it. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to, since she's going to be wearing a top made out of fur, we don't have to be quite as 100% accurate. We can just make them just be general shapes. And then we're going to use the inflate brush, make it a little bit, just to bring back the shape, the general shape, not the actual shape. And that's going to smooth over when we're done. That looks a little bit too buxom for nowhere. But it'll get better when we make her. Alright. Now we're gonna kind of trim the back here. And we're also going to trim the sides of the thighs because that's like majorly not what nowhere's about. Now, when we look at the anatomy of the when we're looking at the anatomy of the deer's legs, the back here is kind of rounded off. So we've got to round that off. And get rid of the little thing that sticks there. But at the same time, reduce the draw size, and we're going to very carefully add on the little tendons that go this way. Then next thing is we're going to slash, stroke, lazy mouse off. Reduce that to about 7. Make it kind of big, because what we got to do is we got to kind of dig in right on the front of what we might call the ankle. And smooth it just a little bit. And then we're going to use the move tool to do a lot of the rest of the work on this part. Okay. Move. Okay. We're also going to grab right here and pull it up, because a humanoid with cloven hooves tends to have a larger hoof than a real cloven hoof. Then we go to inflate. We're going to inflate the feet a little bit on the side. Too small. Because we want it to be able to print. And some people remove it from the bases, so we want to have them have enough foot to glue to whatever new base they put it on. Always got to consider your audience, not just the person specific. I'm sorry. Okay. Frame out. Now, before I do anything else, do you want her ears to be longer? And do you want anything done to the face? Because right now is the time that we do things like that. And she's typing, or they're typing. One thing I am gonna do, because it really needs to be done, I need to sharpen the line under the nose. Because when I made this again, I was rushing myself. Okay. Also, while I'm thinking about it, the upper arms are usually too bulky. Okay, her ears are fine. She's too black-coated. Well, the problem is, if I make her nose any smaller, it will cease to be visible on the miniature. It will literally be unpaintable. You have to make the features larger than they actually are. What I could do, I can bring the bridge in a little bit. Up here. That's about the smallest that nose can be and be printable. Otherwise, it would barely even be a visible bump. Let's put it this way. That is printing scale. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to geometry. I'm going to subdivide her a couple times. And then Dynamesh at 768. And now we're going to change the smooth back to 100, and we're going to smooth this out. Because again, she's wearing something over top. So it's got to look more like something that she's actually wearing rather than her. Okay, now next thing is her clothing. What I'm going to do is we're going to make her shorts. I'm going to assume that they go close to knee length on the shorts. So we make a mask to there. And here. Make sure we didn't get any extra. We did get a little bit extra here. Just wipe that out there. And then here. Okay, and then what we do, go to subtool and extract at 0.02. I know that what that looks like right now, but yeah. And then draw that to get rid of the mask. Now we're going to hide that and that. No. Okay, I know what we do. We go to polygroups, auto group. And split unmasked parts. The reason we're doing this is because when I Dynamesh, these will merge if I don't do what I need to do first. So, Dynamesh at 256, Dynamesh. And then this one, Dynamesh 256, Dynamesh. And then I merge them back together. Merge down, always okay. Now, increase that, and smoothing it down, what this is this allows it to blend into the actual legs, so that when we add the top of her shorts, they look like short sleeves. Because otherwise, it would look like she's wearing, you know, super heavy baggy stuffs that are like, you know, skateboarders would go, dude, I mean, like, that's quite, like, really baggy, dude. Okay, then we go back, geometry, divide, one more divide, yeah, delete, R, merge down, and Dynamesh it. Oh, yeah, Dynamesh it. There. And now, 1, 1, 2, 3. 2, 1, 2, 3. And we're gonna kind of smooth that out. Also gotta kind of in the back. Also, we need to move that out, because that was sticking out a little bit too much. Okay, frame out. Now, how high up on her hips do her shorts ride? Are they like almost to mid-waist, or are they at your typical belt line? And what does she wear for a belt? A normal belt or a rope? Belt line and rope. Okay, that actually makes things a lot easier. Okay. It's now 8:30. We've been at this for an hour. This is actually less time than I expected. We're doing pretty good speed here. Okay, what we're going to do, we're not going to make a straight line with this because of the way the hips are. Instead, I hit Control and drag the focal shift all the way to 100 and draw on basically the top of the pants. A little bit higher up here because, again, the way the hips are. Not that high. Alright, and then this comes around back here. And we're going to do the same thing with this that we did with the legs of the shorts. Go up subtool, extract 0.02, accept, draw. Then we draw again to get rid of the masking. And we're going to Dynamesh at 256. And I am getting really irritated at a commercial I keep hearing on TV. I don't watch TV, but I hear it in the other room. And there's a commercial for a candidate for governor in Mississippi that is really pushing the conservative Christian, we're all supposed to be religious nonsense super hard. I've got to confess, this might lose me a couple viewers. I am agnostic, with a leaning towards atheism. I mean, even if there are entities out there that are of vast power that once were worshipped by humans in the Middle Age, in like the ancient times, I don't believe there is a single supreme power. But that's me. And I don't believe that whatever I believe should be enforced on anyone else. And if these people had read their Bibles, they wouldn't either. Because one of the things in the Bible is a parable called the parable of the seed. And what it basically is, it says if you preach to somebody and they don't want to listen, stop. All you're doing is wasting your time and his. Because if he doesn't want to listen, he never will. That means once you have preached, if they don't listen, go away. Okay, that's the top of the trousers, top of the shorts. We're going to add the belt now with the rope tool. Now, just to make sure we're doing this in the right, rotate a little bit. Start from here. Too big. Let's drop that draw size down to about 16. Okay. No. And then from here we go. Okay. That's where the rope is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split unmasked parts. I'm going to tap here to get rid of that curve. We're going to add in one rope. Actually, no. They both need to come down this side. Split unmasked parts. And oh. Split unmasked parts. And then go back to transparent. And we go to our insert gemstone brush and we go to knot. We go to the, make sure we have the knot selected. Embed of 0. And we draw the knot until the knot ropes are about the same size as the rope of the belt. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Now, split unmasked parts, and then we're going to merge these down onto each other. And give it one layer of mesh smooth because it kind of needs it. Frame. Yeah, there we go. Now back to her. Now the top. No sleeves, short sleeves, crop top, all the way down to the waist. What? No sleeves, crop top. Okay. That actually makes it easier. And we're going to switch from this back to the standard brush, because we're going to use this to draw on where the top is. Zoom in. And while I'm doing around this, actually, let's give it one level of subdivision because it kind of needs it. As I'm doing the sleeves, can you also tell me what kind of neckline it has? Is it round up near the top, or is it more of a loose, like loose fitting T-shirt, or is it a V-neck to her to just below her? Well, whatever you call the little hollow of your throat, which I think the official term is the hollow of your throat. Rounded. Close to the top. Okay. By the way, did you see that I posted my half-orc bard's backstory on the Saturday group? And if so, did you like it? It's too close. I did my best to keep it in character. It's in first person, which means it's in his point of view. And in just little over 2 pages, I managed to explain how he got trained as a bard, why he's got the magic item and trinket he's got. For those who aren't in the know, our Game Master is having us all start with what's called a common magic item from the Xanathar's Guide, and a trinket. My common magical item is a violin that plays images fitting to the music that I'm playing. And yes, he considers it a violin because it does not use metal strings, and he's been taught to play it as a violin, not as a fiddle. Okay, is that about the right shape for her top? I hate to say it, but it kind of looks like a sports bra. Okay, once again, we're going to extract this. We're going to extract it, accept. Well, actually, we need to extract it a little bit smaller because it will be thickened out by the fur. Accept, draw. There we go. Okay. We'll detail that in a bit. As it is, we're leaving it as it is. Okay. The bracers. Full arm bracers, or just like Golden Age Wonder Woman little straps on her wrists. And if they're full arm, are they like thick and heavy, or are they just like very thin clothing more than protection? While you're considering that, I am going to carve the feet. Okay, the way we're going to do this is we're going to polish, increase the intensity quite a bit, and increase the size quite a bit. Full and clothing style, okay. Oh, the sub. To make it a bit more hoof-like and less blobby toes. I'm also going to turn that on and transparency. Okay. We're also going to go ahead and smooth out the back bottom down here. Okay. Now, I need to kind of Okay, now it's going to sound really strange. I'm going to select the bottoms of the feet and then masking, inverse, blur, blur. Blur, blur, blur. Switch to move. And drag them down. Alright. That way they're actually going into the base. Then slash, but this time we're going to make it really intense. Actually, no, not slash. Damn standard. Now, that's bad. And sub 1, 2, 3. And let's turn off transparency. Okay, frame out a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mask off most of the forearm. And we're going to do it. Actually, let's make sure there's no masking left from where we were previously working. As I said, we're going to mask off most of the forearm. And this forearm as well. Okay. Now, we're going to extract these. 0.015. Extract. Accept. Draw. Geometry. Dynamesh of 256. And then subdivide until they're around there. Now, go ahead and close that. We're going to theme 22. The reason for this is this will make the seam, which I'm going to assume is on the inside of the forearm, nice and clearly done. And yeah. Let's make it a little bit stronger, not much, but around a 12. Okay. Okay. There. You got laces holding them on. And get rid of that masking. Now we're going to do the same thing around the lower pastern. I'm assuming they're also full length and clothing. Okay. We can extract, accept, draw, and draw. Now the next quick question is, on these, do you want the laces in the back or the front of the pastern? as I get soda. On the front, we'd put more detail on the front of the figure when most people look on the back is an equally valid from the point of view of where you would actually attach it. So it's up to you. I actually think the sides might be better. Simply because, you know, there's some sides. Does that sound good to you? Okay. So we go up this way. And then go over to this side. And go up this way. And we have that. Okay, excellent. We're going to then take the inflate tool and we're going to very carefully go over those laces just because... Yes. I fully understand. Don't feel bad about it because you know I get them too. I've had to cancel broadcasts because of them, and I got a killer sinus migraine yesterday, right before the rain. Oh, it helps if I have the correct subtool chosen. The reason I'm doing this is because it makes the laces thicker and more likely to print well. Okay, now, for the most part, the geometry of the clothing is done. We still need to add at least one bag, and I think you know which one. What are you doing? No, don't you dare. No, no, crazy cat. Actually, go ahead. Pop on up here just for a second. Because I know for a fact that at least one person needs to see some snuggles. Come on. Come on, Fuzz. Okay. Say hello to Carlton. Fuzzy butt. Yeah. This is the one that's a coward. But he loves the camera. Don't you? He was sitting down staring up at me like, oh, you go up there, but you got the thing in your lap. And now he's purring like a little earthquake. Okay. Was that good enough for you, buddy? No. Don't you think about going to sleep on my hands. Don't you think about it. You understand? Hey, what are you doing? Okay. Alright, little buddy. Down you go. Okay, go. Shoot. Alright, back to the sculpting. Okay. So, one last thing we really need to add before we start detailing everything is the hair. And in order to do that, what kind of hair does she have? Then we can start detailing everything. And in terms of what kind, I mean like length, etc. Long, wavy, and a bit of a poof. Okay, so let's go ahead and tie those. Actually, so we go to standard, just so I have a smaller brush to work with. And where did I put the stylus? There it is. Okay. Does she have a part, or does it all kind of just go flowing back, like like that, or is it more like? Flowing back with a few curls near her face. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to add in the curls later, but we're going to start off with just a general. This is just just an outline of where her hair is, not the actual hair itself. It's an outline of where it's mostly in contact with her body. The curls will come last. There's also a very good chance that I won't get it done tonight because it's already 9 o'clock. But that's okay. I haven't successfully finished the last 3 figures on the show itself. So instead, if I don't finish it before the show's over, I'll finish it sometime over the next couple days. And I will have her finished and ready to bring in as of Saturday. Okay? Okay, I know that doesn't look right yet because we haven't fixed it yet. Geometry, Dynamesh 128. And then we go to clay buildup. And we alpha 1. Alright. No need to thanks. It's helping the game and it's helping me get content. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off just building up. We're going to end up dragging this down behind the Oh Lord, Mom's watching America's Got Talent. Now I'm going to make this a lot bigger. And kind of build out the back. Oh, I forgot to do one thing just to make sure. Modifiers. What's that modifiers? Auto masking, backface mask. Okay, we're going to dynamish it again. We're going to inflate the bottom of it because it needs it. Okay, I need to poof it out a little bit more up here. And smooth out bits up here so I can make them a bit more flowy. Okay. Is that about how you see it, or is that too much? That's just the raw shape, by the way. That is not the actual hair itself. I'm going to be adding in the detailing as well as the little curls on the forehead. Odds are, the current state, what I'm going to have to do is go ahead. Let's go ahead and just to show you what it would look like with the antlers on and with the tail and staff, just to go ahead and show the current full figure. If I don't get anything else done tonight, I'm going to get that staff, at least the rose petals, done. A bit longer? Okay. What I'm going to do is simply grab the move brush, make it really big. Transparency. Grab the bottom of it and pull it down. There. Okay. One last question for when I'm doing the shirt. By fur, would it be like fur from like short fur, or be like like a rabbit fur, or like what you see on a fur trim coat, or would it be fur like that long shaggy stuff that you picture and associate with Hagrid and all that? That's the last thing I need to know, really and truly. Short fur. Okay, that actually does make it a lot easier, by the way. Just saying. Now, like I said before, if I'm going to get anything else done, it's going to be this daggone staff. So, subdivide it a couple times. One more. Bing. Now, what we need to do is we need to hide all the rest of this. And now we're going to make the top of this the rosebud. The sphere here is the rosebud. Make it not quite on centered. Not. There we go. We're going to go back to polish. And I'm going to polish it first. That gives us the basic shape. There we go. Basic shape of the rosebud. going to shrink this down. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off by smoothing out the whole thing right here. No. Make it much smaller. Let's do it this way. Actually, I know what I need to do. Go down here, geometry. Let's turn this on so we can see what's going on. And Dynamesh it at 512. Dynamesh. Okay. Now we smooth this out. Works a lot better. Then we're going to use the inflate tool very carefully with backface masking turned on also. We're going to start to bring this back out. We're also going to make it a lot thicker than it would be at this point of the staff, because it's yeah, that's why. Because. Okay. And then we're going to kind of just erratically kind of give it a bit more organic shape by giving it some random areas where it's deflated. Get a bit more natural looking. Okay. And then very carefully, oh, there, right down here. And then a smooth, and then an add, shrink it down. It's going to be a barely open bud. Okay. Now, I've subdivided a few times to be able to make leaves. What we're going to do is we're going to start off here. We're going to extract these at 0.125 or 0.0125. Extract, accept, draw. Okay. Yeah, I kind of forgot to erase the old ones, so that's why I wasn't. Okay, bring these down and there, and then scoop this in. Extract, accept, draw, draw. And then here we're going to use the move tool. We're going to shrink that down. We're going to move it out just a little bit so it's clearly overlapping this leaf. Okay. Now we go back to here and go back to standard so that we have our basic brush size. This time it's going to kind of come over that way. And cut there. Let's cut here. Yeah. Extract, accept, draw, draw. And again, we're going to move. We're going to pull this out so it's overlapping that leaf there. Okay, now we go back to the staff, go back to standard. We're going to try and make this one a kind of a broad leaf. And cut there. Extract, accept, draw, and draw. Then move. Okay, now we go back to this and go back to standard. And then we're going to kind of draw, once again, a centered one, but it's curving slightly that way, because this time it's going to go under both sides. Okay, yeah, I need to erase here. And we're going to kind of cut this around this way and around this way. Just kind of round it off a little bit more. Okay, then we're going to extract, accept, draw, draw. Uh-oh. Alright, what I just did was that I can come in here under visibility, hide those extra points that just appeared over there, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden, and just in case close holes in case I missed any. Okay, now going back to move, and we're going to move the leaf out so it's overlapping. And then we're going to go to this leaf, which is the bottom leaf. First, I'm going to grab it and extrude it and pull it out this way a bit. Make it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to pull it out that way. Okay, now when we undo the transparency, yeah. So now we're going to go ahead and merge all of these leaves down. all 5 of them, which is, I believe, the actual correct number. And a geometry Dynamesh 368 or 392. All right, 128, 256, 56 plus 28, 384. Dynamesh. And then at the bottom, we're going to fuse it in. We're going to do the usual smoothing trick. Okay, then we're going to subdivide it a couple times. And then we're going to go back to the staff itself, and it's time to start carving in the petals. And we're going to do that with the damn standard brush. Going in quite deep, by the way. I'm going to start off here. One. Okay. What's going to happen is we're going to go in from here. That. Okay, and then across here. Across here. Across here. And here. 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 Now, we're going to use the slash tool, add. Lazy mouse is off. Let's reduce that intensity to about 10. And we're going to kind of, oh, way too strong. Shrink it a bit, reduce the intensity. To kind of sharpen the tops of these. And then okay, frame out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to merge it down into the leaves. And Dynamesh it at 1024. Because I want to keep as many polygons as possible. And before we subdivide, I'm going to come in here and smooth this. And then 1, 2, 3. Smooth this. And then 1, 2, 3. And smooth this. And then 1, 2, 3. Frame out. Now, next thing we're going to do is add in some vines. And once again, we're going to be using the rope brush for this, but a larger scale because of how we're going to do it. We're going to just kind of come down to there. And then I'm just going to hang this one down like that. Now, we're going to extract split unmasked parts and then tap down here to get rid of that. Frame out. And we're going to start from here. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to move the top of it into the center of the staff, so that these, what will be vines, are coming out. Now we're going to divide it once, and we're going to deform by deflating it to almost nothing. Now we're going to move topological. Oh crap, I can't do it with that brush. Okay, so we got to delete that. What we're going to do instead, we're going to go up here to curve tube. And I'm going to shrink it down. And then we're just going to kind of draw on. Alright, too big. Alright, the problem is, alright, don't do that. Cylinder. Split unmasked points. Split unmasked points. Tap. Split unmasked points. And split unmasked points. Now, that seems rather simple, but what we're going to do, we're going to take these, we're going to merge them down together. Geometry. Dynamesh of 128. Too much. No, they're growing together too much, so 256. Okay, I don't mind them growing together at certain points. Now, deformation, inflate. We're going to inflate these a little bit. And then make it bigger, and then we're going to very gently sharpen these points, which will help us make them a bit more organic and more like vines. Now, we're going to go ahead and use a move tool. Move topological, let's say. Let's go ahead and bring it straight up, which will help it blend into the plant itself. Then we're going to go into geometry, and we're going to subdivide it a couple times, and it looks great. Zoom out. Now, we're going to add in some daisies. Actually, let's go ahead and merge down geometry, Dynamesh. And we're going to smooth out right here. And here. And we're gonna no. Unmask points. Unmask points. Now, let's merge these flowers down together. Just so that we can have the entirety, and we can make her body visible. So I can make sure to move the vines so that they're not visible. Actually, not move. Smooth. So we need our standard tool, standard brush. Okay. Frame out. And now the flowers we're going to divide. And merge down. How does that look for her staff? If you're still with me. Hey, Haven. Just to pull up what I currently have so far. And see, this really does give me the impression of nowhere as I've been picturing her. Although I did picture her more with like kind of coming down and straight out antlers, but that's me. It is 9:35. I'm actually running a little bit late. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to save this as a Z tool. Okay? What this is this means that each one of these pieces is a separate thing I can turn on and off. And then I can load this in and get right back to work where I left off. And I'll do that sometime over the next couple days. And I'm back. Okay. Close some of these progies. Okay, the antlers are, well, the antlers are because she's a Fey tiefling. It's a sub-race of tiefling that, if I remember correctly, was in one of the online supplements. It's also why she's got a squirrel tail and hooves. Then again, this character has also been through a rather unusual campaign in the past and was recently literally rebooted. As in, she herself was rebooted. The campaign, over, done with, new world. Some of the characters were brought in, others weren't. This is somebody's water genasi warlock to an aquatic power. And as usual, I print one small and one large. So, meanwhile, the small one for me is in my miniature case. The large one is right here. And again, I hate the color. When I turn, you can see the, like, right here, you can see the purple that really is. But yeah. My Warforged monk. Anyway, it is 9:37. I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, I will finish it in the next day or two. I am going to also be apparently about to be pounced by a fuzzbutt. Yes, you. If you want to get up here, get up here. Do you want to get up here? Or do you want to just, like, curl up on my arm? What do you want, buddy? Oh! Apparently he wants to flop. Ralph. Isn't... Oh, wait. Carlton? Carlton, I can't breathe when you do that with your head. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I'll be playing with you in just a minute there, Furball. I'll be right back. All right, go. And in order to do that, I do my usual, which is place my hand right here. I am not preparing to give an oath. Instead, I'm going to go 5 to 1. When I get to 1, say something goofy, and then go and log out. That's so that I can catch up to the lag that builds up over time, both YouTube's standard 10-second lag and lag that I've built up from, slowing down the computer because I'm sculpting. So, that's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, and a 1. It would be interesting to see a Who's on First style routine with Nowhere as one of the names name dropped.